Hello, and welcome to Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter, a podcast where Dr. O from All Creatures Every Spine interviews doctors and animal owners that utilize animal chiropractic to get their unique perspectives. Yes, it's really a thing. Dr. O utilizes his 30 years of experience as both an animal chiropractor and veterinarian, and to dig deep into the discussion of complex issues affecting the lives of your animal friends and companions. Join us for this educational episode. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the episode as Dr. O begins to answer the question, what is animal chiropractic? He will look at how the chiropractic adjustment is a valuable and viable treatment for what ails your animals.
Helping others experience an abundant life with the gift, art, and blessing that is animal chiropractic is our sole mission at All Creatures Every Spine. It's what we do. It's what we love. It truly is what keeps us motivated to help people just like you. I truly love the art of chiropractic. It drives me to provide the highest level of chiropractic possible. And as fellow chiropractic business owners, it's that love that drives us to become better. However, the reality is that sometimes running a successful business can be challenging. Sometimes there can be obstacles to overcome. We all know the old saying, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Well, one thing that is really easy is marketing our clinic with a professional animal chiropractic website by the Chiro Website Pro, Tony Seymour. He's a professional web designer, and his team at Chiro Website Pro take good care of us. They simply make marketing our practice 100% hassle-free. If you're looking for the number one hands-free way to market your practice, give the Chiro Website Pro a call at 423-779-4630 or simply visit www.chirowebsitepro.com and make sure you ask them about the special ACES discount and let them know Dr. Amy and Dr. O sent you. You'll be glad.
So after some time traveling this, I realized how important it is for us as animal chiropractors and chiropractors and utilizers of chiropractic care, how important it is we talk to everybody. As veterinarians, we have a tendency to say, I'm not going to tell people what I do for a living because I don't want to hear about their dog and I don't want to hear about all this stuff. But as animal chiropractors, we have to teach people what it is, whether they're going to be our clients or not. I cannot tell you how many people on a day-to-day basis say, oh my gosh, it's really a thing. Animal chiropractic, I've never heard about it. So, and we see all the time, I saw a dog this weekend, pictures of a dog, sorry, because I was not where I was licensed. I didn't touch the dog, but I referred it to an animal chiropractor in the area. The waitress is like, oh my gosh, what about this kind of surgery? I'm trying to save money, for $6,000 worth of surgery on my dog's knee. And try an animal chiropractor. What have you got to lose? Oh, what? Why? So anyway, talked about animal chiropractic. Guess what? Now she's looking for a chiropractor for herself, and she's looking for a chiropractor for her animal because she believed in health, that health was not medical care, that there's a difference between being healthy and going to the doctor. I just read a thing the other day that Dr. Fauci says there's a new coronavirus out that is undetected by the current coronavirus tests, and there's no symptoms. So you test negative and you have no symptoms. Isn't that kind of being healthy? So doesn't that mean your immune system is working properly? One gentleman I talked to wanted to know where we lived. I told him we lived in Texas on a ranch. He said, oh, I got a buddy that has 1,000 cows, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, we do animal chiropractic, and we not only do dogs and horses, but we do food animals. And he was like, oh my God, yes. He said, I'll bet they taste better, don't they? Because, you know, there'd be less stress and all kinds of things like that. And I was like, yeah, that would be why we would adjust our food animals. He said, man, he said, that'd be so cool. And I didn't. I thought he got it. I never really described much else to him. And then the next day I saw him and he's, how you doing today? He says, oh, well, I'm a little sore. I got my first shot the other day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a shot. That's the opposite of chiropractic. Chiropractic is above, down, inside out. Anything we inject or put in the body, you know, not only does the body have to heal from that problem, whatever the disease is, but we got to take care of that poison that got put into. Because none of us were born with a vaccine deficiency. None of us were born with an antibiotic deficiency or a steroid deficiency. You know, we're all have problems due to the inability of the body to communicate with itself. You know, allergies are just an immune system that's not working properly. Fix the immune system. Don't cut it down with steroids. You know, let's see what's going on. Let's make sure that the body is able to handle and adapt to changes. That's what chiropractic is about. That is why we adjust animals. It's about adaptation. It's about allowing the body to adapt to its environment, okay? Make appropriate adaptations. Now, sometimes do we need medical intervention? You bet, you know, because sometimes we have to allow the body time, you know, to make these changes because we've had a severe trauma or we've, you know, allowed things to build up over time, you know. If you're hit by, you know, if you got a hit by car dog with a broken leg, yep, you need to heal that leg. You need to see an orthopedic surgeon. But by the same token, you need to get that dog's atlas adjusted. You need the rest of the body to be moving properly so that he can adapt to and heal appropriately. He can't be thinking, his body can't be worried about, you know, hey, do I have the right nutrients? You know, what kind of communication is going on? So chiropractic, allow the body to heal from above, down, inside out. As utilizers of chiropractic and animal chiropractors, we have to tell everybody, we have to work on our elevator speech. We have to be ready to tell people why animal chiropractic is a thing, why animal chiropractic works. You know, how easy is it to ask a dog, you know, just tell somebody that, you know, turn your head to the right, turn your head to the left. Look, you can't turn as far. That's because your neck is out of alignment. Imagine all the nerves that go through that place. Imagine how much trouble you're actually seeing in those things, you know. So animal chiropractic, your dog is having problems. Why can't he catch the frisbee? You know, why isn't he jumping as high as he used to? Not jumping on the bed, you know, not jumping off the bed. All these things. Yeah, there might be radiographic changes. We might have a diagnosis, a veterinary diagnosis, you know. We see things all the time about that. But the chiropractic diagnosis is a vertebral subluxation. It really is a thing, and it is enough, okay? Because that vertebral subluxation creates problems with communication from the brain to the rest of the body, okay? Especially the atlas, that first cervical vertebra. It controls lateral flexion of the head and neck. It controls flexion and extension of the head and neck. Huge. You got to make sure the space between the ramus of the mandible and the wings of the atlas is even. That dog can laterally flex. That horse can laterally flex. Keep his eyes level on the horizon, which is the number 2 priority of the nervous system. You know, we don't worry about it very often, but it's huge. Keeping those eyes level on the horizon. Because if we can't see the predator or the prey, we're not going to last very long. If we don't see the prey, if your dog doesn't see the prey, he'll go hungry. If he doesn't see the dog that's bigger than him or the lion, he ends up being lunch. Same way with your horse, okay? Got to be, it's the way it is. we have got to help these animals maintain their neurological priorities and survive. That gives them more time to heal, more time to be a better animal and create the companion that we want them to be. Create the companion that allows us to go for nice walks, or the companion that allows us to win in whatever event we do. So keep your animals adjusted. Tell people why chiropractic is important. Be empowered in the body's ability to heal from above down, inside out, and you'll never be disappointed. Thank you. Have a great day.
Make sure to visit our website, allcreatureseveryspine.com, where you can subscribe to the show and learn more about getting your animals adjusted. If you are in the Meridian, Texas area, drop in on a Tuesday afternoon to get your animals adjusted. If that isn't possible, schedule a consultation on your animal's health with Dr. O. You can also purchase a copy of Dr. O's book. Yes, it's really a thing.
Standard Process is a third-generation family-owned company in rural Wisconsin. You could say we just make nutritional supplements, but we know we're changing lives. We grow ingredients on our own certified organic farm without pesticides or herbicides because we think they should be as close to nature as possible. Quality is our priority. That's why we do everything right here, from hand-picking the seeds to delivery, so you know exactly what goes into every bottle.
Join us as Dr. O interviews a certified chiropractor, veterinarian, or an animal owner. These enthusiastic people explain how they utilize animal chiropractic to alter the lives of the animals in their communities.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. I'm your host, Dr. O. And just like we had a couple episodes ago, here's Dr. Ava Frick back with us. So last time we talked more about your chiropractic practice and your animal chiropractic, but you do a lot with nutrition too. Tell us about that.
Well, I grew up on a farm, so you get to have a garden and appreciate the quality of nutrition. I also worked at Purina. The research farm was just 10 minutes from where I grew up, so I had early on exposure. So we're talking back in the 70s with nutrition from that perspective. And actually, when I was in college before vet school, that was my number one favorite class, was nutrition. The mechanics of it, like early on, before there were drugs, everything was looked at. If an animal was sick, it's like, what's in the soil, what nutrient is deficient, what do we do to correct that, to help this ailment? It was all about nutrition, plants. The food is medicine. And so I always enjoyed that. But in vet school, you don't get that much information about it. And when I went to the chiropractic program, so that was back in '97, one of my goals was to find a nutritional company that would help me along this path. And so I thought, I'll do a survey. Now, I didn't realize why the survey was going to come out the way it did, because so we have there at Options, which was in Hillsdale, Illinois at the time, you have a lot of DCs coming to the program. Coming up the most was Standard Process. Well, now I understand why that was. But anyway, so standard process became my introduction to whole food nutrition. It's actually taking those nutrients and creating supplements in a way that the product is very nutrient dense. So they've been compressed and compounded, just like the plant or the tissue itself. And then through them, I learned about prolomorphogens and cytosol extracts and how we can use those in different inflammatory, autoimmune, cancer situations, and body degeneration. So that really was my intro to this. And so with that, my son at the time was just a little baby, like 2 years old, 3 years old. So he'd go to bed, and then I would spend hours then reading and learning and listening to Dr. Royal Lee lectures that were filmed and reading everything that Hugh St. Ange, my rep, had given me. And from that, I just started building and expanding, created a cat and dog nutritional survey. And I just went from there. The learning process was huge and it was awesome. So I figured out ways that I could take those bodies, whether it was a young one injured, a middle one diseased, an old one broken down, and give them life and take them from 10 and have them be like when they were 6. So I do that, cats and dogs and rabbits and horses mostly. Those would be the ones that I work on mostly, but also some birds and others along the way.
Cool. Yeah, because nutrition is important. We try to get everybody on the raw food diet because it's to start with because it's more economical, we feel. But some of them don't want to eat the raw food, and then they want to know, and then we put them on a standard process. But it's very, when you start with garbage in, and then it's hard to supplement that even sometimes.
Right. Yeah, because that, especially the extruded, so people feeding kibble, there's only currently between the US and Canada 10 different kibbles that are formulated via baking. All the others go through what's called an extrusion process, and that ramps up the starch dramatically. I mean, you want to know why there's so many diabetic dogs. There should never be a diabetic cat. They're carnivores. It shouldn't happen. What happens is those extruded diets, the feeding them the kibble, that makes the disease. Yet more and more kibble like that continues to get manufactured. And I hate it that the veterinary industry isn't awake enough across the board to realize that while that is job security, it's going to create you patients for the future. Still, as part of our oath, above all, do no harm, feeding that kibble year after year, that extruded diet, it's just like putting another log on the campfire and up the flame goes. All these inflammatory diseases are because of that processed food. And as you said, the raw is less expensive. That's because they're not spending money on all these blood tests and disease. They're getting to enjoy a healthy animal for a whole lot longer. That's where the payoff comes, and that's where it gets very inexpensive to feed the raw or the dehydrated. If people don't want to deal with the raw, you can go to the dehydrated, which basically has the liquid removed from it, and then add moisture to it and feed that way too. But, oh man, yeah, that is the play. If you can do nothing else, start there, and then look at the change of what's going to happen in that individual's body.
So I was talking to, so I'm at a meeting this weekend, and I was talking to somebody that knew you, and it was the standard process rep.
Oh, well, yeah, I would expect that. I've been with them since 1998, so done a lot with standard process. My name should still be floating around there.
Yeah, she was the human rep, but and but she'd been around long enough that when both sides were together. So she knew you, and she wanted to know if I knew you. And I said, well, yeah, actually, I do know her. And we're going to do an interview this weekend on our podcast. And she was like, oh, cool. Where's the podcast? And so I told her the podcast, allcreatures.live. And I said, and you should know that because you guys sponsor it.
Well, thank you, Standard Process. That's very good.
Yeah, they're one of our podcast sponsors, so we appreciate that. And they sponsor the labs. And then
they have their banners up and they give all the students some information. And we usually do that module 2 because that's when we cover the systemic problems that cause neurological problems.
Well, they're definitely an awesome company. And having said that, the one book that I have that's the clinical animal nutrition, it's customizing nutritional recommendations using a systems approach. So I used the survey, which I created in 98, 99, along with my rep at the time, Hugh St. Ange, similar to the human system survey that they have. Then I looked at that and ran that one on myself, and I thought, wow, this would be cool to have for a dog and a cat. So, you know, as I am, Bill, that became then, you know, you turn the gun around and point it to yourself. It's like, okay, I guess I'm going to be the one that does this. But so that came out in 99. I still use that. It's on my site for my new clients that are signing up. I use it all the time because it really does help narrow down which body zone, which area is struggling the most with nutrition, and just makes it simpler to know, okay, where do we start? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, cool. So I saw they had a poster this weekend that was up there, and it was a picture of the human spine, and it had nerve roots. So it said like C7, and then it had the organ that nerve innervates, and then it had the standard processed product over here. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, wow, we need one of those for, you know, we need to take the spine, and instead of it being this way, we need to do it this way, and you know, and
yeah, because we have the posters.
Yeah, because, you know, we made the posters.
Yeah, I have it on my wall right over here. Everybody can see it. We talk about it. Yeah.
The nerve charts that Rick, that Dr. Kaufman and I made before he passed.
See.
But yeah.
I can see it. There it is on the wall right there.
Yeah, we made those. And so I said we just have to take and combine the two. And so she said, well, okay. So I talked to my vet rep about it. And of course she was like, well, I've never heard of it, seen that one before. I said, well, I have a picture of it, so don't worry.
She hadn't seen the human one before.
No.
The human poster with the, I haven't seen that either from them.
Well,
that's very cool.
They don't make it anymore.
Oh, I see. All right. One of those things that has to be somewhat on the side.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I told the rep, and she said, yeah, they don't make it anymore. I have one. And she said, I asked for a replacement because mine's getting kind of, you know, dinged up.
Yeah, tattered.
We don't make it anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. So I do have a picture. I'll send it to you. So you can see it, and then we'll have to, you know, combine.
Yeah, I can envision it. Mm-hmm.
And my, you know, my posters, and we'll make it.
You do one for horses too.
Yeah, dogs and horses.
Because the horses, it's being herbivores, they like that medi-herb line, and it doesn't take that much. You know, horses on the herbs, they take the same dose as what a human does. It's not like, oh, they're 1,000, 1,200 pounds, so you got to use 10 pills. No, you know, 1 or 2 will do.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I, you know, when we use homeopathy and herbs and essential oils, people have a tendency to overdose.
Mm-hmm.
Both.
Yeah, when you're dealing with an herbivorous animal like the horse or like a rabbit, like the volume per pound is minimal because their body is designed to get everything out of a plant.
Right.
So if it's a good quality, it's not going to take that much for them to make a change. And the fun thing, because I see this when I do the hair analysis on the horses, they change faster than what the dogs do. It's much easier to take a horse that has the issues and then find out the mineral levels, the toxic metals, and work them from a digressed state into a much healthier nutritional state than it is any kind of a dog or cat.
Yes.
That's way cool.
Yeah. And I agree, it is. And without proper nutrition, you know, so, you know, if you joined in us late and you're just beginning to hear this, you're like, well, why are you guys talking about nutrition? This is Animal Chiropractic Clinic chatter. Well, you cannot hold your adjustment if you don't have proper muscle function and you don't have proper nerve function, and those are all a definite function of calcium in the body. And I think I read a paper one time that a very high percentage of dogs that are on kibble food are hypocalcemic. Do you remember that paper?
Yeah, I know what you're referring to. We had 564 dogs in that study. And it's a hair sample. So it's measuring the mineral levels at the tissue site. So the body cannot take from the blood in order to satisfy a system cycle function. That's just to keep you alive. What's at the cellular level is what the body uses to live off of. And so, 90 to 94% of the dog population out there is in an inflammatory state. And in that high inflammatory state, which we know, inflammation precedes any cruciate tear, it precedes diabetes, it precedes heart disease, it precedes cancer. All this high percentage of population now that we have, which didn't exist in before the 1980s and 90s. This has all come about more with the transition of a lot more processing, a lot more topical environmental insecticides, pesticides, Roundup being out there, which sucks out minerals from the tissue. But at any rate, so what I found out of those 564 dogs that we did this retrospective study is that 94% are very extremely calcium, magnesium deficient, and manganese, which all of those are needed for proper joint maintenance. Now, the problem with the manganese is you cannot give that because the manganese is being held low to keep the inflammation down. So until the really high sodium, which is a response from the adrenal glands producing aldosterone in the site of this inflammatory state, until that gets handled, then you can't move forward with really getting the joints corrected. The calcium and magnesium, that really high sodium pushes magnesium out of the cell, the calcium goes with it. And so now we have these animals that are hyperactive, that are always wound up, that have behavioral issues, in addition to joint and systemic malfunction. You see these, you were talking about doing shepherds. It's very common in those, I guess, because of how their posture and angulation is. But you'll see it in other dogs too, where their fetlocks in the front are very dropped. That's a magnesium deficiency. Straight out, right there is magnesium deficiency. So that already puts you in this image of what this hair analysis could be and what you might want to do. But anything is a guess unless that hair analysis sample has been run and you know exactly what's there, and then you have the answers of exactly what to do.
Yeah.
One of my other drums that I pound.
Right. You've got to do, so anyway, okay, wait. We're gonna cut this at the gonna do some editing here because we went way over, but that's
I think prior to that nutrition part, we ought to make that be another pod.
Yeah, we will. So
start up there.
So we'll go back and then we'll come back. Mm-hmm. But so anything that you wish every animal owner knew about animal chiropractic before we leave today?
So I would say that it can help any situation that's going on. You have a possibility that a chiropractic adjustment could make a difference. And so before they spend thousands of dollars in a lot more other tests, just to get a test which still doesn't fix anything. I always say, if you ask the animal, do they want to feel better or do they want another test so that you know what it is? They're going to say, I want to feel better. So at least start with that for every animal owner to know you got a chance that a chiropractic adjustment could make a difference no matter what it is. If it's GI distress, it could help. If it's lameness, it could help. If it's seizures, it could help. Respiratory problems, it could help. It's endless. And so why not give it a go? Find somebody who's certified and then play that out for a little while. And don't just do one, give a little bit of latitude there to have several, to where you can actually see the gain and the animal feeling so much better.
We usually recommend 3 before you make a decision. 3 adjustments to see whether it's working or not. I don't know.
Yeah. So, and that's fair, not exorbitant in what they're going to have to agree to experience.
Mm-hmm. And most of the time, the animals will show you they feel better right away with their facial expressions and their posture and all those things. So anyway, well,
I always say I'm their new best friend when they do that. They'll look at you, you know, their eyes are different. They turn around, they're licking, they want to stand next to you. They keep getting close. You move away, they move closer to you. It's like, oh yeah, I'm his new best friend.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for your time today. It's always awesome to see you. And so until next time, everybody out there listening, remember the body heals only one way, above, down, inside out. And Animal Chiropractic is a tool to help your pets do that. So until next time, have a great day.
If you are or know a veterinarian or chiropractor, or a student of either of these professions, visit our website, Animal Chiropractic Education Source, to see how to become certified in animal chiropractic. Start improving the lives of the animals around you. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the ACES channels so that you never miss an exciting episode.